I know this is a good time for former Oklahoma State quarterback, former NFL quarterback Brandon Weeden to spend time with his kids. In fact, I apologize for giving him a false alarm about when he was going to be on the show because he's spending some time with his sons. Brandon joins us now. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, man. What's going on?
Oh, just there, all kinds of stuff. Did you see Gundy's? Did you see Gundy's tweet this morning?
uh, no, I saw a couple yesterday where I guess he's up in Montana or somewhere with the kiddo, with the family, and they were practicing their social distancing. But I didn't see the one this morning.
Well, there was one. Well, it may have come out last night. You may have seen it. It's got the two younger kids, which they're both old now. I mean, you know, when you talk about Gunner's going to college, and he'll
Right.
actually start his clock next January. And then Gage is going to be a sophomore at Stillwater this next year. But it showed Gunner doing a really poor imitation of a offensive tackle in trying to block Gage, kind of brother-in-law, kind of let Gage go, and the Gage goes back and sacks the snowman.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
did see that one. I did see that one.
okay,
That was
yeah,
good. You can tell they're taking full advantage of their time off, I guess. But no, that was good. I mean, it's amazing those guys are already that age. I mean, I saw where he's on a rolling school. I guess you said his clock starts in January. I mean, I remember when he was running around the training table when he was. I mean, he's in elementary school, so it's time's flying, man. But they're getting big, and he's got to be excited with his boys. They're doing
yeah.
well
And
for themselves.
what about your two? They're getting
Yeah,
big,
my
I
got
bet.
I got a couple wild men. My youngest will be 3 in May, and he is an absolute maniac. A lot of fun, but he never stops. He's a lot of fun. And then Cooper, my 5-year-old, will be 6 in July, and they're just crazy. We're cooped up in the house, so they're just beating each other's brains in, and wrestling and fighting and crying and arguing. You know the drill. But finally, I turned the hot tub on, and we went out and got in the hot tub this morning and let them run some energy off in the backyard. Try to see if we can get them down for a nap and relax. At least a 3-year-old. He goes so hard, man. Every time it's time for nap time for him, he crashes and but wakes up from his first step. He's ready. He's roaring, ready to go.
Like I said, we had Cash here yesterday. We're having a blast. So, um, all right, where are you? I kind of wanted to check up on that because you did a lot of work with Oklahoma State. I know I followed what you did each week with Dave Hunziker, and I know Dave loved it because he learned a lot of stuff from you as far as X's and O's. And I told Dave the other day, I said, "Man, you have come so far in your X and O game. He's pretty good now." But uh, you've also been around, spent some time with ESPN people and different networks. And where are you at that stage of getting ready to start doing games?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just got an email yesterday. I got accepted to that broadcast boot camp deal the NFL put on, which was a pretty big deal. I mean, they only bring in 20 guys a year, former and current players, and they end up having to cancel it, obviously, with everything that's going on. So, with that being said, I mean, gosh, it's kind of just waited out. I mean, that was going to be a good opportunity for me to kind of rub shoulders and kind of essentially interview in front of all the executives from these, from ESPN, ABC, CBS, Fox, everybody, kind of all there in one spot. So unfortunately, that got canceled. So I'm kind of just on a wait and hold. Hopefully, this thing gets cleared up sooner rather than later and get the ball rolling. But there's just a lot of unknowns. I'm still going to pursue it. I think it'd be something that will be a lot of fun for me. I enjoy talking ball, as you know. I mean, I love the X's and O's side of it. I love just seeing things from the quarterback's perspective, and I feel like I can kind of provide that, I guess, to the viewer and do it so that they can understand it in layman terms. And I enjoyed my time with Dave as well because, I was able to really kind of get a little deeper with him off the camera because, sometimes you got to be a little bit more vanilla sometimes. But, yeah, I mean, that's something I'm going to pursue. We'll see what happens with that. I've got some stuff going on around here, around Edmond that I'm doing some real estate stuff, buying and selling some. I'm building a building, an office building that's already leased out. I'm doing all sorts of real estate stuff, and I got a buddy. He's an insurance guy, and we're going to go in business together. So I'm going to own part of an independent insurance agency here in Edmond. I haven't decided if I'm going to actually sell insurance, but I will be a part owner of that deal. And so just trying to get out of my wife's hair, trying to find stuff that'll keep me busy and get me out of the house. So I've got a lot of things in the fire, a lot of stuff to kind of keep me busy. And you know me, man, I have a hard time sitting still. So I want to be out doing stuff. And if I'm going to be out doing stuff, might as well try to make a few bucks along the way.
Yeah, and I think when this thing gets over and they start trying to put together, because with with the ESPN Plus, they're going to have a bigger number, bigger inventory of college football games. And when you think about it, obviously the NFL game well. By the way, what did you think of the move the Texans made with DeAndre Hopkins? I'm shaking my head there. I'm like, whoa! I don't know that I would have done that, Bill.
I think they got fleeced. To be honest with you, I mean, I think I hate to say too much. I could go on a rant here, but
I know.
I mean, I think that some people would argue he's the best receiver in ball. He's not being paid that much. Maybe he wants a contract adjustment, whatever. He's outplayed the contract he's under, but regardless, you just don't let a guy like that, get out for what they got for him. I mean, they got fleeced, and Bill O'Brien's been in charge of a lot of the moves. He thinks he's Bill Belichick in that regard, and he's not. And I think there's been several moves over the last however long, year and a half or so, that he's made. And if I'm another team, I'm licking my chops. I'm calling him. How can I make a deal with Bill O'Brien? Because I feel like I can hit a home run. He's made some deals that make you scratch your head like, what in the world is this guy doing? But, I don't know. I was shocked. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm pissed. I know that. I would be absolutely furious. And I know Deshaun will never say anything publicly, but, there's just no way he can possibly be happy. I mean, it's, you're talking about, again, one of the best receivers in ball. And, and to back up, I mean, the guy, Hopkins played through more injuries. The dude never missed a game, and he easily could have missed, 7 or 8 games the year I was there, my last year, because he played through some serious injuries. A lot of guys would just say, you know what, I'm good. I'm going to shut it down this week. He fought through it, and he didn't practice a whole lot because he couldn't. But on Sunday, you got him, and you got 8 catches for 120 and a couple touchdowns. So, he gave them everything he had. I feel like Bill O'Brien just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I said, I could go on a rant for hours here. It just.
Yeah, and I don't want you to, because we're trying to get you into the business. We don't want anybody blackballing you or anything. But here's another recent development, and I'm much more about the college game than I am the pro game. But while I've got you here, I'm going to ask you. We just talked about the remaking of the NFC South, and how you've got Drew Brees sitting in New Orleans, and now you got Tom Brady sitting in Tampa Bay. That division gets very, very interesting.
It does. And a lot of people are thinking, yeah, why would he sign in Tampa? But if you look at Tampa, their unit they've got on both sides of the ball, they've got some guys. I mean, sneaky. They were top 5 in defense. They've got weapons. I mean, Mike Evans, Godwin, whatever his name is, the receiver, Ronald Jones, and they've got a ton of players. They got a great head coach. So they're a good quarterback play away. I saw Dan Orlovsky the other day saying something about, they were, I think 8 of their losses were within 7 points, and I think in those 8 losses,
18 turnovers.
18 turnovers. I mean,
Yeah.
So that right there alone shows you it's like, dadgum, quarterback play, and Brady, obviously he's not what he was 6 or 7 years ago, but he's still pretty dadgum good, and you give him those weapons, he's going to be fine. So, yeah, that division got tough. I mean, Drew Brees coming back for a couple of years. They're going to be contenders. I think Brady obviously makes Tampa contenders, and then Atlanta's solid. They're a
quarterback
good
play,
team.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be that one. That's a sneaky division that got better overnight.
No doubt about it. All right, along those lines, and I mean, I'm guilty of this all the time, wishing things for people that I don't necessarily ask them if that's what they wish for. And when I think of Brandon Weeden doing games on television, I just picture you doing college games. But, I mean, do you have a preference? If somebody obviously, if nobody contacts you about college and somebody calls and says, hey, we'd like you to do color on some NFL broadcast, you're, yeah, I think I can do that. But if you had your druthers, which direction would you start off in?
I think I'd like to start the college game personally. I mean, I think I enjoy the college game. I enjoy the pregame atmosphere, just the excitement that kind of goes into a game day in college football. I love the game of college football. It's unique, whereas I think the NFL can get a little bit cookie cutter and a little bit, copycat at times. So it kind of becomes a lot of the same, I guess, if you will. And I think the college game is just exciting, especially, some of these big time college programs. I mean, there's some good players, high flying offense and stuff like that. I just think it'd be a lot more fun. Obviously, there's more opportunity in the college game from a broadcasting standpoint. So I'd like to start there, but I'm not going to turn down any. I'd look at any opportunity, but I think the college game is just so exciting and something I'm passionate about. Every Saturday, man, I just can't wait for college game day to be over and that first kickoff at whatever it is, 11 o'clock, and start of college football Saturday. It's as good as it gets.
Brandon Weeden with us for a couple of more minutes, and I want to get back to asking him some questions about his alma mater, and everybody's got pride in their alma mater and likes to look back on their days fondly, but also look ahead. And this is an interesting year because I know we're not going to have spring football, or if it is, it's going to be drastically amended. Like maybe it's going to be in June, or because you're not going to have time if you get the kids back on campus, and that may not even happen. But maybe you get them on campus for summer school, and you can rush a spring football, then turn them back over to glass, and then come back with fall camp. But along the lines of this upcoming season, it reminds me so much of when you and Justin had your press conference and said, hey, we're coming back. We had the pep rally at the student union earlier this year where Chuba and Tylen stood up and talked about coming back. This team may even have more when you think about 10 of 11 starters on defense being back. But the hype is going to be similar to what you guys went through, Brandon.
It is, and I think that's what they want. I've been pretty vocal. I think there for a few years after I left, it kind of flatlined a little bit. So it's good to have that excitement kind of back on our side and the target back on our back. And I think as a program, I think that's what you want. You want to be the one that everybody's kind of chasing and the one that everybody's every Saturday, you're going to get every team's best. That's what you want as a player. And I am from the outside looking in. And, last year doing the stuff I did with Dave, I was able to watch every snap. I watched them play on Saturday, but I get to rewatch it on film. And, there's some guys that, like you said, 10 and 11 starters back on defense. I think they got to be excited about what they have on that side of the ball and obviously know what they've got offensively. So, I mean, yeah, the excitement's there. There's no doubt about it. I think there's just as much, if not more, maybe than when I was, me and Blackman and that 2011 team. But I will say, after what we did our junior year, we didn't sneak up on anybody. Obviously, my senior year, I mean, everybody kind of knew who we were, what we're all about, and that's going to be the same with this team. I mean, everybody's going to be talking about how they should compete for the Big 12 title, and they should. Now it's about going out, not reading all that crap, and going out and getting it done. And that's, I think they've got the right guy involved offensively. I think Casey Dunn was a home run hire. I saw him out at Oak Tree just a month or so ago, and I think he's been there. He kind of knows what it takes at Oklahoma State to get it done. I think if everybody can kind of see through his lens and get going the direction he wants to go, I think the future's bright. I think it's all about Spencer playing well. Obviously, Truba's got to stay healthy and do what he has shown he can do. But man, I mean, you hate to put your finger on what they can do, especially as an offense, but as a team, I think they got a chance to be really good and make a lot of noise. But again, we can all talk about it. You got to go out and get it done, and hopefully this will be a year that they can kind of make a run at things.
And you probably are familiar because I think you guys probably crossed paths during your playing career. But Mike brings in Tim Rattay as the quarterback coach, and you mentioned the importance of Spencer Sanders. I think that's a huge key as to how consistently good he can become this season with what he's got around him. And I asked Mike about this last week. You've always had the guy in the quarterback room calling plays, and he admitted that's what I've always wanted. But in this case, like you just said, Casey Dunn's equipped to do this, and now I've got Tim Rattay, and all he is doing is focusing on making sure those quarterbacks play better. Your familiarity with Tim Rattay, if there is any.
Yeah, so Tim actually coached me when I was getting ready for the draft. I was out in Arizona, preparing for the draft, and he was kind of my quarterbacks coach that kind of got me ready for the combine and my pro day. He actually was at my pro day and did the whole script for me and kind of got me all set up. So I'm very familiar with him. The one thing I like about Tim is he's done it. He's thrown for a gajillion yards at La Tech, so he's played the position, knows position extremely well. But he keeps everything extremely simple. He doesn't overcomplicate things. He's very keep it simple, stupid type thing. I mean, he's really, really good at just finding what the quarterback's good at and kind of and adapting. I think he's a great hire for him. The one thing I think that is probably going to take place is Casey Dunn is going to be in that meeting room as well. I mean, because the way I perceive it, if I'm calling plays or if I'm a quarterback's coach or if I'm a quarterback, I want everything being seen through the eyes of the quarterback, but that's got to be done through the play caller. And I think Casey Dunn, will be right there. It'll be those three. It'll be Tim Rattay, Casey Dunn, and Spencer. And those three guys, sometimes you can get too many cooks in the kitchen. I need to keep it simple with those three guys. I think that's the right recipe. But ultimately, Casey Dunn's going to have to be in every single meeting with the quarterbacks. He's going to have to be in there, kind of feeling out what Spencer likes, what he's good at, what he's not good at, and then same thing with the offense. So I think it's going to be a collective deal between the three. But I think between the three, it's a pretty good recipe. Those three guys are good at what they do, and I think kind of exactly what they need offensively.
Brandon Weeden, and we'll kind of finish up with this. I've told the story often about how you ended up at Oklahoma State. I remember getting the phone call, and you were in Sky Harbor Airport, and the Royals had said, I think we're done, and you had said, yeah, I think you're right, we're done, and you were immediately wanted to turn your attention to football and called Larry Fedora, and he went down the hall, grabbed some Santa Fe tape, called me back, said, "Do you have this guy's number?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He wanted it immediately. Um, so you've been through this. You know how, especially when you weren't playing, spring football was your chance to get better. It's when you got reps. How much, if there is no spring football, how much is this going to hurt, guys? Maybe a guy like a Shane Illingworth who just showed up as a freshman. I mean, he's a tall guy with a big old arm. I had a chance to watch him live last week, and let me tell you, Brandon, you'll love seeing this cat. I mean,
I heard he can spin
yeah,
it.
yeah, he can spin it. So, how much does not having a spring set guys back?
It does. Those young players, I think it does, because you can have the playbook and kind of study the playbook all you want, but till you get out there with live bullets and are in a practice type atmosphere, it's hard. I mean, you need to have live reps, and I think a guy like Spencer. I mean, even him. I mean, he's played a little bit, but I think a spring would do him good, especially with Casey now calling plays and Tim as his quarterback coach. But I think those are valuable reps. You kind of especially with guys that haven't had a whole lot of experience. Those are irreplaceable, and I think there's going to be some guys that are going to miss out on it more than others. There's a veteran player, guys like Stoner, even Chuba. I mean, for them, it's not that big of a deal, because one, it just keeps them healthy and fresh and the whole deal. But I think, players like quarterbacks, in my opinion, receivers that are young, offensive linemen especially, I think it's big for them. But yeah, I just think, hopefully they can get a few in before fall camp. But if not, I mean, there's going to be crunch time come July or August. So, I was always of the, I didn't get a ton of reps when I first got there, but I got a chance to play in the spring game, did some things like that. So, whenever I finally did get those reps my junior and senior year, I mean, I took advantage of them because I knew you only had so many before it became real and you put pads on and, you get hit in the chin. So it was, spring practice was always a little bit more, what's the word, I guess, it was a bigger deal for me maybe than a lot of other guys because I knew I only had so many opportunities to get those reps.
Well, and just to add to that, Chris Thurman, who's a former defensive coordinator that's actually an offensive analyst for Oklahoma State. He's a defensive coach sitting in the offensive room, kind of advises them on X's and O's and how defenses might try and play different schemes and combinations and stuff that they throw out there. He told me the other day, he said, Robert, nobody gets more reps in at practice than Oklahoma State. We get more reps in team period because we don't talk a lot. That's going to be saved for the meeting room. And I think this probably was prevalent a little bit when you were there as a player, but you've been to NFL teams and you kind of know practice routines and practice tempo. You think what Chris is saying is right, that Oklahoma State is pretty good at maximizing the reps?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I remember, and that all started when Dana came in. That wasn't always
Yeah.
the case before he got there. We didn't. I remember, my first 2 or 3 years there, we'd run some plays. Everybody's yelling, going crazy between plays or whatever. And then after practice, you'd run your tail off, and that was your conditioning. Whereas when Dana got there, it was like, hey man, we're going to run this script of plays. We're going to run them all. We're going to play fast. We're going to practice fast, and that's going to be our conditioning. But they're going to be 100% reps. And then you can, like you said, go in the meeting rooms and coach off the tape. It's easier for the coaches. They can watch it a couple times. They're going to coach on the field, but in the meeting room, that's when you really dissect, each individual play and who's right, who's wrong. Talk about it. That's when all that coaching needs to go on. When you're on the practice field, it's about getting a bunch of plays ran, especially in the spring. Figure out what you're good at, and then kind of go from there. But yeah, I mean, I think he's spot on. I mean, we ran a ton of plays. But again, we were efficient and guys were fresh. Whenever it's time to go out and strap it up and play a game. So they do it the right way. NFL is completely different. NFL is a little slower pace. You huddle every play. You may mix in a 2-minute drill here and there, but you may run 40 or let's call it 50 team plays in the NFL, whereas in college you're probably running 75, 80 at least team plays per practice. So it's a different animal, but I think the way that Oklahoma State does it, in my opinion, is the right way to go about it.
Hey, Brandon, we appreciate it again and enjoy the time with the family. And, soon enough, this thing, I hope they reinstate that NFL television deal. That'd be great. But if not, I got every confidence that there's a lot of people out there that know you're available, and I expect to see you doing games this year. And when you're not, I expect to see you at Boone Pickens Stadium because I know you always want to be there. So.
Yeah, I made every game but one last year, which was a lot of fun. I made the mistake of bringing my little ones to one, and I said I'd never do that again. So I'm old enough to sit still. So, I plan on getting up there as much as I can. Until then, I'm about to head to Oak Tree and play golf, and I'm gonna practice my social distancing. We got to ride in separate carts, but I got to get out of the house because weather's decent, and I'm gonna go chase that little white ball around.
Well, and social distancing. Make sure your partners hit it off the fairway and that you stay straight.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to be cart path only, so I'm just going to hit it. Wherever the cart path is, I'm aiming for the cart path. I don't want to walk stopping fairway. So,
hey, I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Brandon.
I appreciate it.